Since December 7th of last year, I've been playing a game I've considered maybe one of the best first-person shooters to have come out in the past couple of years. It's delivered high-octane gameplay, some gunplay elements that you need to practice in order to master, and a vast class system that gives you the potential to build all sorts of classes to suit your playstyle. For those that are picking up what I'm putting down, we're talking about the Finals, a free-to-play first-person game show shooter that pins 3 teams of 3 or 4 teams of 3 against each other to collect vaults or collect coins to win the game. This game has not only been a time killer for me personally, but has stress tested my heart and patience so damn much, I'm sure my life expectancy is a third of what it should be. I'm not the best at the game, but I do enjoy it, and that's really all that matters, right? Well, I wanted to break down everything that comes out in Season 2, provide you with some honest opinions, and then send you all on your way knowing if it's worth it or not. So if you enjoy what you see today, be sure to sub to the channel. I would deeply appreciate it. Alright, let's continue. To kick things off, I want to talk about the new contract system that actually unlocks different tiers the more contracts you complete. These different tiers also unlock at a certain time, so I think one of them unlocks in like 20 something days, the other one unlocks in 50 something days. To my understanding, each tier comes with its own rewards as well, which is a nice step in the right direction compared to Season 1, where you were kind of at a standstill until you got new contracts. You can also spend VR credits to re-roll for better contracts, so if you're tired of those garbage ass melee contracts like I am, you can swap them for something better. We also have a new battle pass that focuses on the 80s aesthetic, much like the entirety of this season, and the rewards actually seem to be a lot better in this compared to Season 1. It's still a grind, but one that I don't really mind much. And even though that's cool and all, I know what you guys are here for, right? I can sense some of you are saying, Blackout, that's great, but what's the gameplay like? Is there anything new? And most importantly, what happened to Nukes? Let's start out by talking about the brand new game mode. Essentially what we have is a 5v5 King of the Hill-esque mode that sees you maintaining a levitating platform. Whoever delivers the platform the furthest or puts it all the way into the enemy's spot wins, and to be honest, it's actually kind of a fun mode. It breathes a whole new life into the finals in my opinion. Going from a multi-team setting to a proper 5v5 one is something that really works well in this game. That being said, it's a Valhalla for snipers, and it can get so goddamn annoying. As long as you have some heavies with dome shields, you should be good. In my opinion, the only downside is that you're not going to be using the new equipment as much compared to Bank It, Quick Cash, or even Ranked. Speaking of which, we have 3 new gadgets and 1 new specialization at our disposal. The 1 new specialization is a dematerializer that allows the player to create temporary holes in the floor to drop the cash out through the floor without permanently destroying it. The 3 new gadgets include the gateway, which essentially acts as a portal that'll help you traverse the maps easier and get out of situations easier. The data reshaper, aka the prop swap, that'll convert one prop to another, so the explosive bottle will convert to smoke, the fire barrels will convert to toxic canisters, so on and so forth. The last one is the reverse gravity cube that will, well, reverse gravity. It's important to note that players can still interact with the cash out while in the reverse gravity area of effect, so be mindful of where you throw it and how you want to use it. That's not the only thing that's new. We also have 3 new weapons that, in my opinion, we could have done without. You know, we could have just skipped these. First is the FAMAS, a burst rifle for the medium class. Is it powerful? Kinda. Is it useful? No. It's about as useful as filling up a swimming pool with a hole in it, okay? Just use the F-car instead. Second is the 93R, a burst pistol for the light class. I don't like the light class as is, and I'm not a fan of pistols, so personally, if you know how to use it, use it. If not, don't bother. Then we have probably the worst damn shotgun in the entire game for the heavy class, the KS-23 Slug shotgun. And you know what? I don't even need to explain why this thing bites more ass than a rabid dog. Let me show you. Yeah, point blank range doesn't even guarantee a double tap kill no matter if you're hip firing or ADSing, if you can even call it that. Just use the other shotgun and go on your merry way. Don't touch this damn thing. Now, the moment a lot of players, including myself, waited for. Embark's response to the annoying, garbage, brain-rotting issue of nuking. Now, for those that are new to the finals and don't know what nuking is, or was in this case, nuking was the act of throwing C4s on an explosive canister and then launching that canister directly at the enemy. Whenever the bottle would get close to the enemy, you would detonate the C4, which then in turn would detonate the other C4 and the canister, normally resulting in a massive explosion and guaranteeing a kill. And in my honest opinion, I think it was a meta that people were using, especially the trash can players of the finals. Gave them that nice little ego boost and they thought they were doing so good at the game. but I'm glad to see that it's finally over with. I'm glad that Embark finally did something with it. And according to the patch notes, here's what it says. Added diminishing returns on damage from nukes, i.e. throwable objects that carry C4s, breach charges, or mines. Then there's like a little bulletin here that says for each source of explosive damage, including the throwable and starting with the highest, a damage modifier is applied to each instance in the sequence of 60, 40, 30, 20%. Gas canisters now immediately start to steer off their direct trajectory, aka wobble, when they have attachments. When picking up throwable objects with explosive gadgets attached, i.e. nukes and snukes, don't know what the fuck that is, when the player lets go of the carried object, a rearming timer for the explosives start. The explosions from C4, breaching charges, and all mines that detonate while unprimed now deal 20% of their original damage. They also decrease the health value of propane gas tanks from 250 to 120. There's also a nice little dev comment at the bottom that says, nukes were a hot button issue since season 1. The previous tuning made nukes exceed the intended time to kill by a large margin. Since our initial changes weren't substantial enough to alter this tactic, we've added more ways to balance nukes moving forward. They also decreased the amount of C4s you're allowed to have to carry at one time to just, well, one. In other words, nukes are done, they're gone. And if you're one of these final players that are upset by this, listen, let me tell you what to do, okay? Just get closer. Cope harder. One thing I forgot to mention is that there's also a brand new map. I haven't played on it yet. I haven't even been able to find a game that's running that map. So, hey, if you played it, let me know how it is down below. If you haven't, best of luck. Anyways, that's about it I want to cover from the extensive ass patch notes that came from the season 2 update. I'll be leaving them down below, and I highly recommend you check it out for yourself to understand how much is actually changing with the game. For my final thoughts, I think when it comes down to how the game was compared to the beta or even season 1, season 2 feels like a step in the right direction. And I think this shows that while Embark isn't listening to all the feedback, because not all feedback is good feedback, they're at least showing us that they are paying attention to the biggest issues or the biggest complaints when it comes to the finals. And while this may not take away from the fact that this game can be a bit buggy from time to time still, the matchmaking system being anything other than perfect, I will give credit where credit is due when it comes to what Embark is trying to provide for their current player base while looking for ways to bring in new players. Which makes me segue into my next thing I want to bring up. I originally wanted to make a whole video about this a while ago, but I was like, I'll wait till season 2 and then I'll bring it up. I've seen quite a bit of creators say that the finals is dead or that the finals is dying, and then they show off something from Steam charts or SteamDB. In season 1, it was really hard to keep players around and engaged. I will admit that. 2 game modes, and if you're counting ranked 3, 4-ish maps and 2 random events, that wasn't keeping really anyone engaged. But there's so much more new content now, so much more stuff to grind for. And while they totally can't reclaim the 242,000 player peak on launch, they can at least retain a small portion, which is fine. And if I can keep it a $150, which I don't know what defines a game as dead nowadays, right? But 40k average in 24 hours on Steam alone isn't dead to me. It shows me that at least on one platform, the game has a dedicated player base, which is really all any dev could ask for. Overall, I'm excited to see what Embark does as far as events go. Maybe they'll incorporate more 5v5 modes going forward because, like I mentioned earlier, it works so well for this game. Now I turn the mic to you. Let me know down below what you think about the finals. And while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button and cash out on that sub button to all so YouTube can show you my content free of charge. And as always, I want to give a massive shout out to the current members of the channel. Y'all's contribution is insanely appreciated and I thank you all so much. This is Sir Blackout signing off to go play the finals while listening to Def Leppard. It's the 80s aesthetic, man. it always gets me. Later.